Velron's 4 eyes focused on the screens in front of him, the observation deck was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. He had been watching space conflicts for 20 years. He thought he had seen everything, but today felt different somehow. Another species about to learn a hard lesson, his colleague Trash said from the next station. Trish was younger, still excited by warfare. Velron found no excitement in watching others die. The screen showed a small planet called Terran 4. It was a colony world on the edge of known space. Kryn Empire had claimed this Sector 3 months ago. The problem was that humans already lived there, humans the newest species to reach the stars. Run pulled up the human file on his secondary screen. They had only achieved faster than light travel 40 years ago. 40 years. Most species took centuries to master space travel. The Cathari, Velron's own people, had taken 400 years. But humans rushed into space like children running into deep water. Look at their military data, Trash said with a clicking laugh. Kinetic weapons. Actual bullets fired by chemical explosions. Can you believe it? Velron could believe it. He had reviewed everything about humans over the past week. Their technology was primitive compared to the rest of the Galactic Council. They had no energy shields. Their ships were slow. Their weapons were old-fashioned. Their bodies were weak. They needed oxygen, water, and specific temperatures just to survive. The Kryn fleet will arrive in 2 hours. Another analyst announced 12 warships confirmed. Balun checked the human defensive positions. 3 frigates, just 3, and maybe 800 soldiers on the ground. The math was simple and brutal. The humans were outnumbered 4-1 in space and 5-1 on the ground. They will surrender, Trash said confidently. They have to. Even humans cannot be that stupid. But Velron was not so sure. He had been reading human history files for days. They had a strange past. Wars. Endless wars. They fought each other for thousands of years before reaching space, over land, resources, ideas, pride. Sometimes they fought just because someone insulted them. One war lasted 30 years. Another killed 60 million of them. They had weapons that could destroy their entire planet, and they came very close to using them. Several times. They almost made themselves extinct multiple times. Maybe they do not understand real war. Tree suggested fighting your own species is different from fighting the Kryn. Velron said nothing. He watched the evacuation shuttles leaving Terran 4. Civilian transports were moving women and children to the outer system. Good. At least humans protected their young. But their military ships were not retreating. They were moving into position around the colony. The communication channel opened. Velron switched his audio feed to listen. This is Kryn Commander Zelch to human colony. Terran 4, you are in violation of Imperial space. You have 2 hours to evacuate all personnel and surrender this world, refuse, and we will erase your presence. You have been warned. CRN always gave warnings. They enjoyed making others fear them first. Run waited for the human response. He expected panic, maybe desperate negotiation, perhaps a request for council mediation. Instead, a human voice came through the channel, female, calm, almost casual. This is Captain Una of the Terran Defense Force. We received your message. Our response is simple, no. Tree's antenna stood straight up in surprise. Other analysts stopped Working to listen, you refuse, Commander. Zelch sounded confused. You understand. The consequences, we understand. Perfectly, the human named Yuna said. This is our home, you are not welcome. Here. Leave now or we will make you. Leave, Velrin felt a strange sensation. In his chest, was this human insane? Brave, or did they genuinely not understand the situation? Impossible. T whispered, they cannot win, do they? Not see the fleet size, Velrin pulled up the human command profiles. Captain Yuna was a Marine commander, age 32. Veteran of something called the Titan. Uprising, he read the incident report. Yuna had held a position against enemy forces for 6 days with only 40 soldiers. She lost 38 of them, but completed her mission. Commander Day was the tactical officer, male, age 35, served in human fleet operations for 12 years, multiple combinations for something called aggressive defense strategies. Velrin did not know what that meant. They are moving, an analyst called out. Human frigates are adjusting position, Velrin. Watch the tactical display. The 3 human ships were not running, they were spreading out, forming a triangle formation around the colony. Why, what could 3 ships do against 12? The Kryn fleet has entered the system, someone announced on the main screen. 12 Kryn warships dropped out of faster than light travel. They were massive. Each ship was twice the size of a human frigate. Their weapons could burn the atmosphere off a planet. The Kryn had destroyed 17 civilizations in the past century. They were not known for mercy. Final warning, Commander Zelch broadcast to the humans, surrender now or die. There was a long pause. Belrin found himself holding his breath. He did not even need to breathe as often as humans did. But something about this moment made his body tense. Then Captain Yuna's voice came back. Just 3 words, come and take it. The channel went silent. The Kryn fleet began moving forward. Idiots, Tresh said sadly. Brave idiots, but idiots. Belrin was not paying attention to Tresh anymore. He was watching something strange on his biological scanners. The instruments measured life signs from the human ships in the colony, heart rates, brain activity, chemical compositions in their blood. Human biosigns were spiking. Their hearts were beating faster. Their brain activity had increased by 30%. Something called adrenaline was flooding their systems at dangerous levels by Cathari standards. These readings indicated a medical emergency. The humans should be panicking, freezing up, making mistakes. But they were not freezing. The human ships were moving with precision. Soldiers on the ground were taking positions with practiced efficiency. They were not panicking, they were preparing. What are you, Belrun whispered to his screens. A junior analyst approached his station. Sir, I found something in the human database. Note about their evolution. It says humans are classified as persistence predators. What does that mean? Velrin asked. It means they evolved to hunt by chasing prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They would track animals for days across enormous distances. They never stopped chasing. Belrun looked back at the screens. The human ships were not retreating. The soldiers were not surrendering. Captain Yuna had said no. For the first time in his 20-year career, Velin felt something he had never experienced while watching warfare. He felt uncertain about the outcome. The Kryn fleet moved into attack formation like a wall of metal. And fire, Belrin watched the 12 warships spread across his screen. Each one had enough firepower to level city. Together they could crack a planet's crust. Targeting solutions locked in. Analyst reported, Kryn are preparing to fire on the colony. Runs. Fingers moved across his controls, recording everything. This was his job. Watch, record, analyze, never interfere. The Galactic Council had strict rules. They observed, they did not take sides. But something bothered him, the human biosigns were still elevated, not decreasing, increasing. Their stress hormones should have peaked by now. Instead, they kept climbing. Human frigate Delta is moving, Tree announced. It is accelerating toward the Kryn line. Suicide run, another analyst said. They know they cannot win, so they will take some enemies with them. Honorable at least, but Run noticed something. The frigate was not alone. The other two human ships were moving too, but in different directions. They were splitting up, spreading out. Commander Zelch's voice boomed across all channels. Your resistance ends now. The Kryn fleet opened fire. Plasma bolts cut through space like burning knives. The human frigate Delta took 3 direct hits. Its shields collapsed. Atmosphere vented from a dozen breaches. Ship Delta is critical. An analyst said they need to evacuate. But the human ship did not stop. It kept accelerating straight at the nearest CRN warship. What is the pilot doing? Trash asked. Velrin pulled up the flight data. The pilot's name was Jiho, male, age 28. He was born on Earth itself, the human home world. He had flown military craft for 6 years. Jiho's voice came across the channel, calm and clear. Delta crew, this is your captain. Abandon ship protocol. You have 90 seconds. Move. Velrin watched escape pods burst from the damaged frigate like seeds from a pod 12510. The crew was evacuating, but Jiho was still inside. The ship was still accelerating. 60 seconds. Jiho said over the channel, engineering, you clear. Clear, Captain, a female voice replied. That was Hana, the chief engineer. Her pod was already away. Weapons clear. Captain, another voice confirmed. Medical clear, Captain. That was Tay, the ship's doctor. His pod joined the others, moving away from the doomed frigate. Good, Jiho said. See you on the ground. Delta out. His pod launched 30 seconds later. The frigate was now a missile with no crew, and it was aimed directly at the Kryn warship. They planned this, Belrin said quietly. This was not desperation. This was a tactic. The Kryn warship tried to evade, but it was too big to move quickly. Ship Delta crashed into its side at full speed. Explosion lit up space like a new sun. When the light faded, the Kryn warship was cut in half. Both pieces tumbled through space dead. 11 CR ships remaining. An analyst updated, but humans only have 2 ships left. Tresh pointed out. No, Belun corrected. They have 2 ships, 40 escape pods, and 800 soldiers who just watched their friends turn a frigate into a weapon. The Kryn fleet hesitated. Commander Zelch had probably never seen a tactic like that. Sacrificing a ship, but not sacrificing the crew, using the ship itself as ammunition. Resume attack. Zelch ordered. Land ground forces, kill them all. 12 Kryn landing ships dropped from the fleet toward Terran 4. Each ship carried 400 warriors. That was 4,800 soldiers against 800 humans. The landing ships entered the atmosphere. Felrin switched his view to ground sensors. The human colony was small, one main settlement with outlying farms and research stations. The human military had established defensive positions around the settlement's perimeter. Captain Yuna's voice came through the tactical channel. Run had tapped into human communications. He knew he should not, but he needed to understand. All units. This is Yuna. They are coming down in the northern valley, exactly where we expected. Hold your positions. Remember your training. Remember why we are here. Understood, Captain. Multiple voices replied. The Kryn landing ships touched down. Hatches opened. Warriors poured out like angry insects. They were 2 m tall, covered in armored scales, carrying plasma rifles that could melt steel. They roared as they charged toward the human positions. The humans are outnumbered 6-1. Tresh said, this will be over in an hour. The first wave of Kryn hit the human defensive line. Explosions erupted across the battlefield. Plasma fire lit up the valley. Smoke filled the air. Belrin zoomed in on one position. A human soldier was there, firing a simple kinetic rifle. Bullets, ancient technology, but the soldier was not panicking. Their hands were steady. Their aim was precise. 3 shots. 3 Kryn warriors down. Impossible. Trash muttered. How can bullets penetrate Kryn armor? Felrin checked the data. The bullets were not normal. They were something called armor-piercing rounds. Humans had developed dozens of variations of their old technology. If plasma did not work, they made better bullets. A CR warrior charged a human position. The human. There was Tay, the medic from ship Delta. He had survived the escape pod landing. Run expected him to retreat. Medics were not frontline fighters, but Tay did not retreat. He threw something at the charging Kryn. The object exploded, sending shrapnel everywhere. The Kryn warrior fell. Tay went back to bandaging another human's wound. Medic just killed a Kryn warrior, an analyst said in disbelief. While treating a patient, human medics carry weapons, Velro explained. He had read their military doctrine. Human medics were combat trained. They could fight and heal simultaneously. Most species separated these roles. Humans did not. The battle raged for 30 minutes. Kryn advanced slowly. The humans gave ground grudgingly. Every meter cost the Kryn dozens of warriors. The mathematics were wrong. The humans should have collapsed by now. Human casualties at 42%. An analyst reported. They cannot sustain this, but they were sustaining it. Velrin watched a wounded human soldier shot in the leg drag himself behind cover. The soldier did not stop fighting. He kept shooting, kept fighting, even wounded. What is wrong with them? Trish asked. Why do they not retreat? Why do they not surrender? Filrin checked the biosigns again. The human adrenaline levels were still high, but something else was present. Now, endorphins, norepinephrine, chemical cocktails flooding their bodies. These compounds blocked pain. Enhanced focus made them stronger, faster, more alert. Humans had evolved a biological combat system. When threatened, their bodies transformed into weapons. Commander Day's voice came through the human channel. Yuna, they are committing everything to the center. They think they can break through. Let them think that. Yuna replied. Pull back. Squads 4 and 7, make it look desperate. You are baiting them. I am giving them what they expect. Pull back. Make it look like we are breaking. Felrun watched the tactical display. Human units in the center began retreating. The CRN saw weakness. They pushed harder. More warriors charged forward, eager for the kill. Prepare. Flanking positions. Una ordered. Fire. On my mark. The Kryn pushed into the center of the human line. They were bunched together now, concentrated, focused on what they thought was a breaking enemy. Now Una said quietly. The ground exploded. Hidden charges that humans had buried before the battle detonated. Hundreds of Kryn warriors disappeared in fire and dirt. The survivors stumbled, confused. Then the human soldiers who had retreated opened fire from prepared positions on both sides. Crossfire. The Kryn were caught in a kill zone. They tricked them. Tresh said that was not a retreat, that was a trap. Humans call it an ambush. Velrun said they have been doing it for thousands of years. The Kryn line collapsed. Warriors tried to retreat, but now the human soldiers who had fallen back advanced again. The hunters became the hunted. Commander Zelch's voice screamed across the Kryn channel. Regroup, form defensive positions, air support, cover the retreat. But the humans were not letting them retreat. Soldiers advanced with mechanical precision, no emotion, no hesitation, just continuous pressure. Velrun realized something terrifying. The humans were not fighting a defensive battle, they were fighting like predators. They had drawn prey into a trap, now they were finishing the hunt. Night was falling on Terran 4, the sun was setting, darkness was coming, and Velrun knew somehow that the real horror had not yet begun. The sun disappeared below the horizon of Terran 4, darkness spread across the battlefield like a blanket. Velrun adjusted his sensors to thermal imaging. The screens now showed heat signatures. Instead of visible light, Kryn forces are establishing defensive positions. An analyst reported they have stopped advancing. Run counted the heat signatures. The Kryn had started with 4,800 warriors. Now they had maybe 3,000 left. They had lost almost 2,000 soldiers in 6 hours. The humans had lost 300. The Kryn have superior night vision. Tree said their biology is adapted for low-light combat. They will use the darkness to their advantage. That made sense. The Kryn were reptilian. Their eyes could see in almost complete darkness. Humans had terrible night vision. They were daytime creatures. They needed light to see clearly. Human forces are changing positions. Another analyst said they are pulling back from forward positions, finally showing sense. Trap commented they cannot fight what they cannot see. But Velrun noticed something odd. The humans were not retreating to the colony. They were spreading out, dividing into smaller groups. Why would they fragment their forces during the most dangerous time? Commander Day's voice came through the human channel. All units switched to night operations. Rules of engagement are now flexible. Captains have full tactical authority. Understood, Captain Una replied. 2nd Battalion moved to Grid Sierra 4. 3rd Battalion Grid November 7. Stay quiet. Stay invisible. Velrun watched the thermal signatures split apart. Humans moving in small groups of 5 to 10. Soldiers, they were leaving the defensive positions. They were going into the darkness. What are they doing? T asked. This is suicide. The Kryn will pick them off, maybe, said slowly, but he was thinking about something he had read. Humans had lived as hunters for most of their existence. They hunted in the darkness. They used the night to Their advantage before they had technology they tracked prey in, conditions that would blind other species. First contact, a Kryn officer. Reported Northern Sector 3. Warriors report movement, engage. Commander Zelch ordered, Velrin. Switched his view to the northern. Sector 3 Kryn warriors were scanning the darkness with their weapons. Ready, their thermal vision showed them the landscape clearly, but where were the humans? A shape moved, one of the Kryn fired, the plasma bolt hit a rock. No human there, false contact. The Kryn warrior reported, then the thermal image showed something strange. One of the 3 CR signatures suddenly disappeared. No explosion, no gunfire. Just gone. Report, Zelch demanded. Northern Sector report, I do not know what happened, one of the remaining Kryn warriors said, his voice trembled. Torquil was just here, now he is gone. Search the area. The 2 remaining Kryn warriors separated, searching. Vel watched their heat signatures move apart, then the second signature vanished. Still no sound, no weapons. Fire, something is here. The last Kryn warrior screamed, something is his. Signal cut off, his thermal signature disappeared. What killed them? Tresh demanded. I saw no weapons fire, no explosions. Velrin rewound the thermal recording. He watched carefully. There, just before the first Kryn disappeared, a slight temperature change, something humanized, but it was barely visible. The thermal signature was masked somehow. They are camouflaging their heat signatures, Velin said, using the terrain, moving slowly, staying hidden. More reports came from the Kryn lines, warriors disappearing, silent attacks, no visible enemy. The Kryn could see in the dark, but they could not see what was not there, and the humans were making themselves invisible. Captain Yuna's voice whispered across the human channel, Unit 7, you have 4 Kran at grid marker Alpha 3. They are separated from their main group. Copy that. Male voice replied. That sounded like Jiho. He had survived the escape pod and joined the ground forces, moving to intercept. Belrin found grid marker Alpha 3. 4 Kryn warriors were there, standing together nervously. They kept looking around, scanning, searching. Do you see them? One Kryn asked. No. Nothing. Where are they? Maybe they retreated. Stay alert. Velrin watched 5 human thermal signatures approach, but they were not approaching directly. They moved in a circle, surrounding the Kryn, getting closer slowly, patiently. One human was closer than the others. Velrin zoomed in. The human stopped moving completely, just waited 10 m from a Kryn warrior, motionless. The Kryn warrior walked past. He did not see the human. The human was right there, but the Kryn's vision missed him somehow. Then the human moved fast. The Kryn warrior's thermal signature collapsed. The other 3 CR spun around, firing blindly. Plasma bolts lit up the night, but they hit nothing. 2 more humans appeared from different directions. No, they had always been there. They were just visible now. Gunfire. 2 more Kryn down. The last one ran. Let him go. Jiho's voice said calmly. He will tell the others. Tell them what? Another soldier asked. That they are being hunted. Velrin felt his breathing quicken. This was not warfare. This was predation. The humans were not fighting like soldiers anymore. They were hunting like animals. More Kryn began reporting attacks, warriors disappearing, ambushes from nowhere. The Kryn were superior fighters in direct combat, but this was not direct combat. This was stalking. Hiding, waiting, striking from unexpected angles. All units fall back. To main position, Commander Zelch ordered stay together. And GT do not separate. The CRN warriors retreated to a central location. They formed a defensive circle, weapons pointed outward, 3,000 warriors bunched together, safe in numbers and smart tree. Said they eliminated the human advantage. The humans cannot pick them off one by one now. But Velun noticed the human thermal signatures were not attacking, they were just watching, waiting, surrounding the Kryn position. Engineer Hana's voice came through the human channel. Captain, I have finished setting up the surprises you requested. Good work, Yuna replied. Stand by. What surprises? Velrin wondered aloud. Commander Day's voice addressed the human forces. Listen up. The Kryn think they are safe. They are wrong when Captain Yuna gives the signal. Light them up. Full assault. No mercy. What is he planning? Tresh asked. The humans began moving, not toward the Kryn position. They were circling it like predators around cornered prey. Then light exploded across the battlefield. But it was not weapons fire, it was spotlights, dozens of them. Portable lights that humans had positioned around the Kryn defensive circle. The darkness vanished in blinding white light. Kryn warriors screamed. Their eyes, adapted for darkness, were overwhelmed. They were blind now. Yuna shouted. Humans attacked, not with careful tactics anymore. With fury they came. From all sides, the Kryn could not see to fight back. They fired blindly. Most shots missed. Human soldiers moved with practiced precision. They had trained for this. Velrin realized they had planned this entire night operation. Stalking, the terror, the lights, everything. Medic Tay moved through the chaos, but he was not treating wounded. Not yet. He was throwing devices that created smoke and confusion. He was making the battlefield even more chaotic. Pilot Jiho led a squad that hit the Kryn eastern flank. His voice was calm, almost cheerful. Remember your training. Aim low. Watch your crossfire. Let us finish this. Engineer Hana had rigged explosives throughout the area. When Kryn warriors tried to retreat, they found bombs waiting. She had turned the entire battlefield into a trap. The Kryn lines collapsed. Warriors broke formation. They ran, but the humans did not let them run far. Squads pursued, cutting them down. No surrender was accepted. This is a massacre. Tresh whispered. The humans are not accepting surrender. No, corrected. The Kryn never offered surrender to the humans. The humans are simply returning the favor. Commander Zelch's voice crackled with panic. Fleet, we need air support. And GT bomb the entire area. And GT, but sir, our warriors are still there. I do not care. Kill the humans, kill them all. The Kryn ships in orbit prepared to fire, but they had forgotten about the 2 remaining human frigates. This is Commander Day to all remaining Kryn vessels. If you fire on the surface, we will destroy every ship in orbit. Your choice. The Kryn fleet hesitated. 2 human ships against 11 Kryn warships. But the humans had already destroyed 1 ship with a suicide run. What if they did it again? What if both ships rammed the fleet? Do not fire on the surface. Zelch ordered reluctantly. Prepare for orbital defense. The Kryn ground forces were alone, and the humans were teaching them what it meant to fight a species that evolved as hunters. Velrin watched the battle continue. The human soldiers moved with coordination that should not have been possible in darkness and chaos. They communicated with hand signals. They used night vision equipment they had trained for exactly this situation. By the time the sun began to rise again, the Kryn had lost another 1,000 warriors. 2,000 remained. They were surrounded, demoralized, terrified. Captain Yuna's voice addressed the Kryn forces directly. Kryn warriors, you have fought well, but you have lost. Surrender now and you will be treated fairly. Fight and you will all die here. There was a long silence. Then Commander Zelch responded, the Kryn Empire does not surrender. Then the Kryn Empire will learn a hard lesson today. Velrun had not slept in 30 hours. His species only needed sleep every 3 days, but exhaustion was pulling at him anyway, not physical exhaustion. Mental, emotional. He had watched a battle that broke every rule he understood about warfare. Kryn forces are attempting another breakout, an analyst reported. Her voice was tired too. Everyone on the observation deck was tired. This was the 4th breakout attempt since dawn. Each time the Kryn gathered their strength and tried to punch through the human lines, each time they failed. Each time more died. Human casualties fell. Run 47% wounded, 12% dead. That should have destroyed a fighting force. Most species surrendered when casualties reached 30%. But the humans kept fighting. Their wounded soldiers kept shooting. Their medical teams worked under fire. They refused to break. Trash approached Run station. He looked pale. His antenna drooped. I have been reviewing the night combat footage, all of it, every engagement, and Run asked, the humans were not just fighting, they were terrorizing them. Psychological warfare. They wanted the Kryn to be afraid. Velrun had noticed that too, the way humans had picked off isolated warriors, the way they had surrounded the Kryn position, the sudden lights after hours of darkness. It was calculated, designed to break enemy morale. Most species avoid such tactics. Tresh continued, we fight to win, but we do not fight to terrify the humans. They understand fear as a weapon because they have used it for thousands of years. Run said quietly, against each other, against prey animals, against anything that threatened them. On the main screen, another cringe charge collapsed. The human defense line held barely, but it held. Sir, we have an anomaly. Junior analyst called out. Kryn warriors are reporting something on their closed channels. They sound panicked. Run switched to the Kryn military frequency. He should not be listening to this, but council rules seemed meaningless now. Inside the walls, they are inside the walls. A Kryn warrior was screaming. Report what is inside the walls. Commander Zelch demanded. I do not know. Something moved in the shadows. Torvik went to investigate. He did not come back. Then Sala disappeared. They are in here with us. That is impossible. Zelch said, we are surrounded. No humans can penetrate our lines. But Velrun knew better. He had watched humans during the night. They did not need gates or doors. They found ways. They crawled. They climbed. They squeezed through gaps that seemed too small. They were persistent. How many Kryn are reporting these incidents? Velrun asked. 17 separate reports, the analyst replied, all describing the same thing. Warriors disappearing inside secured positions. Tresh looked at the thermal images. I see no human signatures inside the Kryn perimeter. You are looking for the wrong thing, Velrun said. he adjusted the sensors, look for thermal signatures that are almost invisible, humans using camouflage, moving slowly, waiting there. Just the barest flicker of warmth. Human-sized shape against a wall. Motionless, patient. How did they get in there? Tree asked. Velrin rewound the footage he watched. It took him 10 minutes to find it. One human soldier had crawled for 2 hours, 2 hours moving centimeters at a time through mud, through grass, under sensor coverage, until they reached the Kryn position. Then they waited inside for the right moment. What kind of soldier has that kind of patience? T wondered. One who evolved hunting prey that could run faster than them, Balloon answered. Humans did not catch prey with speed. They caught it by never giving up, by following, by waiting, by outlasting. The Kryn position was falling apart, not from outside attacks, from fear. Warriors were abandoning posts to search for invisible enemies. Officers were losing control. Discipline was crumbling. Commander Day's voice came across the human channel. Captain Yuna, the Kryn fleet is moving. They are trying to leave orbit. Let them go, Yuna replied. Our mission is the colony. If they want to run, let them run. But Velron knew the Kryn would not just run. He had studied them too. The Kryn did not retreat. They would regroup and return, unless they were stopped permanently. Actually, Commander Day said, I have a better idea. All ships move to intercept, block their escape routes. Day, we only have 2 ships, Yuna warned. They have 11. I know, Day replied, but I am betting they do not want to fight us, not after what they saw us do. Geo, are you listening? Yes. Commander Jiho replied. He was on the ground, but apparently still connected to ship communications. If I give the order, can you remote pilot frigate Sierra into the Kryn flagship? There was a pause. Then Geo laughed. Actually laughed. You want to crash another ship? Only if necessary. Just get ready. Oh, I'm ready, Jay said. I have been ready. Balloon watched the space battle develop. 2 human frigates moved to intercept 11 Kryn warships. This was insanity. The math was even worse than before, but the Kryn fleet slowed. They did not attack. They tried to maneuver around the human ships. Kryn vessels. This is Commander Day. You have 2 options. Stand down and prepare to be boarded, or run. But if you run, we will make sure you never come back. You cannot board us. Commander Zelch replied. You are outnumbered. I do not need to board you to destroy you. Day said calmly. I can crash my ships into yours, just like we did earlier. Can you dodge 11 times? Silence. The Kryn fleet stopped moving. You are bluffing, Zelch said. Try me. Day replied. Jiho, prepare Sierra for remote piloting. I Commander setting course for the flagship. The human frigate Sierra began accelerating toward the Kryn flagship. Velrin held his breath. Was this a bluff? Would they humans really sacrifice another ship? Wait, Zelch shouted. Wait, stop. We yield. Say it clearly, Day demanded. The Kryn fleet yields. We surrender. The human frigate stopped accelerating. The Kryn fleet powered down weapons. Velrin exhaled slowly. The humans had won the space battle without firing a shot. By using fear. By using the memory of what they had already done. Ground forces will also surrender, Day told Zelch. Order them to stand down. They will not listen to me, Zelch said quietly. We do not surrender. It is not our way. Then they will die, Day said simply. Your choice. Zelch gave the order, but Velrun knew the ground forces would not obey. The Kryn were too proud, too stubborn. They would fight until they were all dead. Captain Yuna apparently knew this too. Her voice addressed the Kryn ground forces directly. Kryn warriors, your fleet has surrendered. You are alone. You have fought bravely. But this battle is over. Lay down your weapons. No more need to die. Never. Grin officer shouted back, we will take as many of you with us as possible. Fine, Yuna said. Her voice was cold now. You want to die? We will help you. The final assault began at noon. The humans stopped being careful, stopped taking cover. They simply advanced like a wall of steel and determination. The Kryn fought desperately. They killed humans. But humans kept coming, kept advancing, kept pushing forward. Velrun watched. Tay, the medic, he was carrying a wounded soldier on his back while firing his weapon with one hand. When he reached cover, he set the soldier down, bandaged him, and went back into the fight. He watched Hana, the engineer. She was disabling Kryn weapons with electromagnetic devices while dragging equipment to repair human defensive positions. She worked and fought. Simultaneously, he watched Jiho, the pilot, on the ground. Now he led a squad through the most dangerous sector. His voice stayed calm, encouraging his soldiers, making jokes even while bullets and plasma flew past his head. And he watched Captain Yuna. She was everywhere, directing soldiers, making decisions, leading from the front. She had been fighting for 18 hours straight. She was wounded. Velrun could see the thermal signature of blood on her left arm, but she did not stop. Why do they not stop? T asked. They have won. Why do they keep fighting? Because the Kryn will not surrender, said. So the humans will finish it. They do not give up. It is not in their nature. The battle lasted another 3 hours. When it finally ended, 200 Kryn warriors remained. They threw down their weapons. They surrendered, not because they wanted to, because they had no strength left to fight. The observation deck was silent. Every analyst was staring at the screens. The humans had done the impossible. They had defeated an enemy that outnumbered them 5 to 1. They had held their colony. They had captured an entire fleet. Final human casualty count, an analyst reported, 51% wounded, 14% dead, but they won. Velrun looked at the biosigns. The human adrenaline levels were finally dropping. Their heartbeats were slowing. They were exhausted, wounded, traumatized, but alive and victorious. Velrun saved all the data, every sensor reading, every communication, every tactical decision. His report would be long, detailed, accurate, but he knew that no report could truly capture what he had witnessed. The Galactic Council needed to see this, needed to understand humans were not just another species. They were something the galaxy had never encountered before. They were survivors, hunters, warriors who refused to quit and run. For the first time in his life, felt genuine terror at the thought of what would happen if humanity ever decided to stop being peaceful. 3 days had passed since the battle ended. Velrun stood in the Grand Council chamber preparing to give his report. His hands would not stop shaking. He had given hundreds of reports over 20 years. He had never been nervous before, but he had never witnessed anything like the Battle of Terran 4. The council chamber was massive. Representatives from 47 species sat in curved rows around a central platform. That was where Velrun stood. Now above him, holographic screens displayed his data. Behind him, the council leader waited for him to begin. Analyst Velon, the council leader said. Her voice echoed in the chamber. She was Toro from the ancient Vexian species. You have reviewed the conflict between the Kryn Empire and the human colony. Present your findings. Velron activated his first display. It showed the starting positions of both forces. Numbers, statistics, cold data. The engagement began with a significant numerical advantage for the Kryn forces. Velon said. His voice sounded steadier. Then he felt 12 warships against 3. 4,800 warriors against 800. By all tactical models, the humans should have lost within hours, but they did not lose. Counselor Breath said he was Kryn, one of the few who still held a council seat after this incident. Clearly your tactical models are flawed. No replied. Carefully. The models are correct for every other species in the galaxy, but humans do not follow the same rules. He changed the display. Now it showed biosign data, the chemical readings from human soldiers during combat. This is adrenaline, explained, a human stress hormone. When threatened, their bodies flood with this chemical. It increases strength, blocks pain, enhances reaction time. Most species have something similar, but human levels are 40% higher than the galactic average, so they are chemically enhanced. Warriors, someone asked, not enhanced. Velron corrected. This is their natural state during combat. Humans evolved this response. For millions of years they were both predators and prey on their world. They developed biological systems to survive. He showed another screen. Combat footage from the night battle. Humans are also persistent predators. They evolved to hunt by outlasting their prey. They would chase animals for days. Across vast distances, the prey would run until it collapsed from exhaustion. Then humans would kill it. The council chamber was silent. Many representatives looked uncomfortable. They hunted by never giving up. Balun continued, and that behavior carried into their warfare. Human soldiers do not surrender easily. Even wounded, they continue fighting. Their survival instinct is not to flee, it is to keep going. Counselor Breath spoke again. This does not explain how they defeated superior warriors in direct combat. Belron pulled up tactical analysis. They did not fight direct combat, not when they could avoid it. Humans are ambush predators. They use terrain, deception, traps, psychological warfare. They made the Kryn afraid. Fear is a weapon to humans. They understand it intimately. He showed the footage of human soldiers stalking Kryn warriors at night. The council members shifted uncomfortably as they watched Kryn disappear one by one. Silent, efficient, terrifying. The humans did not fight to win territory. Run said quietly. They fought to survive. There is a difference. Most species fight for resources or honor or territory. Humans were defending their home, their families. To them this was not a battle, it was survival, and humans are very, very good at surviving. This is concerning, the council leader said, but humans are still primitive. Their technology is centuries behind most species. That is what we thought. Velon agreed, but technology is not everything. The humans defeated the Kryn with inferior weapons because they use them better. They adapted faster. They improvised. They turned their ship into a missile. They used darkness and light as weapons. They made the battlefield itself into a trap. He pulled up one Final screen, this one showed human. Evolutionary history, here is what we missed, Velun said. Every other species in the council evolved as either prey, scavengers, or herbivores. We developed intelligence to avoid conflict, to solve problems peacefully, to survive by being clever, not violent. He highlighted Earth on the display. Humans are different. They evolved as apex predators. They developed intelligence to be better at hunting, better at fighting, better at killing. They are the only species in council records that achieved sentience while still being active hunters. The implications settled over the chamber. Like a heavy weight, are you saying humans are inherently violent? Someone asked. No, Balun said carefully, they are not violent by nature, but they are capable of extreme violence when necessary. They have rules, laws, something they call Geneva Conventions that limit their warfare. What we witnessed at Terran 4 was humans being restrained. That was them following their rules of war. That was restrained. Counselor Breath looked horrified. Yes, Velrun said simply. Humans can be much worse. I have read their history files. They have concepts we do not even have words for. Toter. Scorched earth, mutual assured. Destruction, they have weapons that can destroy planets. They built these weapons and aimed them at themselves. The council chamber erupted in shocked whispers, but they did not use them. The council leader said they held back. Yes, Run confirmed, because humans understand restraint. They know what they are capable of, and they choose every day to be better than their instincts. That is what makes them remarkable, not their violence, their control of it. The chamber doors opened. 3 humans entered. Velrun recognized them immediately from his observations. Commander Day, Captain Yuna, Pilot Jiho. They wore clean uniforms now. Their wounds were bandaged. They walked with confidence but not arrogance. The human delegation has arrived, the council leader announced. Commander Day, Captain Yuna, welcome to the Galactic Council. They approached the central platform. Run stepped aside. This was their moment. Commander Day spoke first. Thank you for inviting us. We are honored to address the council. Your recent actions at Terran 4 have raised questions. The council leader said the Kryn Empire has filed a formal complaint about your tactics. They claim you violated rules of warfare. Captain Yuna stepped forward. Velrun noticed she did not look intimidated. She looked tired but determined. With respect, Yuna said, the CRN attacked our colony without provocation. They gave us 2 hours to evacuate or die. We chose to defend our home. If our tactics were harsh, it was because we were fighting for our survival. You terrorized Kryn warriors. Counselor Breath accused. You hunted them like animals. Yes, Yuna said simply. We did because they came to our home to kill us. What did you expect us to do? Die quietly. Silence. Then Geo spoke. His tone was casual, almost friendly. Look, we are new to the galaxy. We are learning your rules, but we have rules. 2. One of our oldest rules is simple. If someone threatens your family, you stop them, whatever it takes, even if it means dying. Someone asked, especially if it means dying. They replied, humans do not have a word that translates perfectly, but we call it sacrifice. Giving your life so others can live. It is one of our highest honors. Run. Watched the council representatives process this. Most species fear death. Above all else, humans view death as Acceptable if it meant protecting. Others, that was a fundamentally different worldview. The council must decide, the council leader said, whether to grant humanity full membership or to classify you as a dangerous species, requiring monitoring, or Day said quietly, you could accept us as allies. We do not want to be your enemies. We want to learn from you, trade with you, share this galaxy peacefully, but if we must fight, Una added, we will always defend ourselves. That is not a threat, that is a promise. The council leader called for a vote. Run watched as representatives discussed among themselves. The debate lasted an hour. Finally, the vote was called. By unanimous decision, the council leader announced humanity is granted full membership in the Galactic Council with full rights and responsibilities. The humans did not cheer, they simply nodded, professional, respectful. We are honored, Day said. We will not let the council down. The session ended. Representatives filed out. Run gathered his data files. He felt exhausted, relieved but also worried. Analyst Velen, he turned. Captain Una stood behind him. Up close she looked even more tired. There were dark circles under her eyes, scars on her hands, but she was smiling. Thank you, she said, for your fair report. You could have made us look like monsters. You are not monsters, Velrin replied. You are survivors. There is a difference. Maybe, Una said, but we scared you. Did we not? I saw your biosigns during the battle analysis. You were terrified. Velron considered lying, then decided on honesty. Yes, he admitted, I was terrified. I am still terrified, if I am honest, not of you specifically, but of what humanity represents. And what is that? Una asked. A reminder, Velen said slowly, that the universe is not safe, that peace is not guaranteed, that sometimes survival requires violence. We forgot that we had centuries of relative peace. We thought we had evolved past conflict. But you had not, Una said softly. You just never faced anyone who forced you to remember. Exactly, Velrin agreed. Then you arrived.